eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
Oh my God, Michael's naked. Everyone look. Michael, we can see you. We can see you. What the hell is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. That was Michael in the chat, who has taken his Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom to listen to me in the shower. Shout out to him. And shout out to you guys for being here. There's 100 of you in the chat ready to go, and we have a massive show tonight. So I think this is going to be a long one, and we're going into a members-only stream straight after it. So tonight, we're looking at, I guess, what you can see on the thumbnail, which is a story about an Australian YouTuber who is a really big YouTuber, actually. And recently, he had a possession experience. He got healed, and now he's like a full-blown Christian. So we're going to be looking at his testimony, speaking about that. But the way that this story came into the show today was actually from another podcast, the Confessionals, which we've looked at before as well. They recently had on a father-daughter duo, and the father was an ex-shaman, and they're basically talking about how they used to heal people as a shaman, but they no longer do it because they believe shamanism is demonic and that it's not an inherently good thing. And so we're gonna look at about 20 minutes of that because it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting perspective, but it reminded me of this story of Jamie, which I already knew about, because his possession experience came from a Reiki healing. So it's kind of dabbling in that shamanistic, spiritual healing world, which is usually kind of seen as like a good thing, like a positive thing, an ancient thing. So it's going to be interesting to hear a different perspective on things tonight. So I'm excited. Kaiju has become a member just in time for the members only stream, sir. Thank you. S-Jack, $8. Thank you very much, my man. And also celebrating 3 months as a member, Kaiju, my man. And Taris has gifted 5 memberships. That is 5 extra tickets into the members only stream tonight. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you. So as you can see as well, the Suki Cam is now sponsored by PROTON. They are partnered with the channel. Get yourself 23% off. Protect yourself on the internet when you're going down these weird rabbit holes. With the link, proton.me/polarity. Support the channel. And I think with all that said, we should get into the show, but I will just remind you that this is going to be the last stream for the week tonight. There'll be a couple of videos coming, but we have a big birthday stream planned on Sunday. And I've got an invitation that I made myself that I'm going to be gifting you guys at the end of the stream. Okay, the invitations are going out tonight. I hope you like them. But let's get started. All right, we got a fair bit of content to get into today. So this is the first story we're going to be looking at, about 20 minutes. This is the father-daughter duo on the Confessionals. And basically, we're going to just cut straight into them speaking about their practice as a shaman and what they did. And if you guys really like this, we can follow it up in another stream with why they believe it's now evil, because we don't really have enough time to get to that part tonight. So here we go. First part, let's go.
You went to a shaman, you became a shaman.
Yes.
And with shaman practices, you're going into the astral realm. You're interacting with beings there.
I did a workshop, several workshops actually, and it was called Death and Dying. And
the workshop was called Death and Dying?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Or Dying and Beyond, one or the other. And we were trained to assist trapped souls in the middle, in this world that couldn't cross over. So we were trained to go and assist them.
Maybe just give a recap on the 3 different worlds. You want me to do it for you?
Yes.
This is the good thing about a father and daughter.
Yeah.
You can, do you want me to do it? So he said to me last night, well, we did this also when we would journey, but there's the 3 worlds. So there's an underworld, which is like where the animals are, the power animals are, and like nature. And then there's the middle world, which is like this, but the unseen. And this is this like kind of gnarly world, really.
Yeah.
When she explains that like that, where she goes, it's like this world, but the unseen, the first thing I think of is the upside down in Stranger Things, which, you know, is meant to already be like the whole child experimentation thing. Sounds very like MK Ultra, Montauk-ish, like, you know, kind of already feels like it's based in reality. And then you've got the whole upside down, which is like the real world, but just a little bit weirder and darker.
And like, this is where we go and get people who are trapped in trauma.
And sorry, I know you guys hate that. I want to just say this story and what they talk about, I think this might be really interesting for people who have, well, for one, people who are into this stuff, but also people who have past trauma, either resolved or unresolved. I feel like this, you guys might be able to resonate with this. Turtle Boy says, sorry, that woman is nuts. We're 1 minute and 29 seconds in, but he's already decided that this woman is crazy. So I guess that's the end of the stream. And thank you, guys. I guess we'll pack it up there. Thank you for that. All right, let's keep going. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
And this is this like kind of gnarly world, really.
Yeah.
And like, this is where we go and get people who are trapped in trauma. So this, but remember his teachers would always say, be careful in the middle world.
Yes.
Because the darkness lurks in the middle world.
Yeah, crazy.
I have so many thoughts in my head right now. Please continue.
And then the 3rd world is the upper world. And that's where the angels are, the healings are, God is.
Yeah,
the heavens. So he would bring people, like their trauma portions he would find in the middle world. Like I wouldn't really do that kind of stuff. I would be there in the room with him, but he would be the one retrieving souls and mainly extraction. So he would get the souls. It's almost like he would take them and like put them in this like little bag, like an actual literal bag. And then when he would get the pieces of the soul in the spirit world, he'd bring them to the upper world, the spirit, and say, Lord, you know, or God, or whatever you would say, heal this person and give them a healing. And then he would come back to the actual literal room with the soul part and blow it in their chest.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like 3 different worlds, but
I will say that her descriptions of things are a little bit kind of vague and like slightly incoherent. But when the guy starts talking, it's a little bit more to the point, and he is the actual shaman. Like he's the guy that does it. And it's funny you say that, Little Feather, because I was actually holding on that comment until, because they speak about the bags again, I'm pretty sure. And I was going to mention it then, but yes, that's exactly what I was thinking too. When they speak about this, it made me think of the like Assyrian gods, you know, the ones with, you know, the ones where they hold the bag, they got the watch, they got like the bird head and half muscles from the gods, literally. It's exactly what I thought of as well. What is in those bags?
everyone, not just the shaman teachers, but our also friend who's a shaman, a Cree shaman that we would always be with, he would always say like the happy hunting ground.
Yeah.
And like that is the middle world. He's like, be careful in the middle world.
So we're going to stall out for a second
Okay.
and we're going to dissect this a little bit, okay? Because I think it's important to do this. I know we're doing recap, but there's a lot of people who haven't heard your stories before, and I think it's important. So you do the 3 worlds, the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world. I have been hitting on this recently in the last year or so in my own verbiage, and I'm still trying to understand and define things. But I started settling in on first heaven, second heaven, third heaven. So Paul talks about the third heaven in the Bible. And then from there, we kind of draw different conclusions. But my thought has been up to this point, and it kind of lines up with what you're saying. When I say the second heaven, that's where the warfare is happening. That's where the dark playground is. And that's where I feel like people are being pulled during their quote unquote abduction experiences. And the manipulation and toying around with the human soul happens.
Yeah.
Like you kind of referenced, that's where the bad stuff's happening. That's like the middle world. And you're saying that you would go and retrieve a soul or a soul fragment, and put it in a sling, like a bag, and you would bring it here. So you're talking about literally going somewhere else and retrieving something and bringing it back to this realm.
Yes.
And see, this is just confirmation for me, really, because these are things that I talk about, and I said in the other room we were talking, like, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I talk to a lot of people, and you start drawing conclusions on things, right? And so for me, it's confirming just to hear that breakdown the way you just did it, for sure.
So real quick to interject, episode 747, Hat Man the Soul Hunter, Chad talks
Little Bob Lazar sketch in the background there.
about how Hat Man would go around and take souls from kids and people and put them in a bag and take them with him. Exactly the same way it's depicted that you guys were talking about.
What if the Sumerians were literally just creating hieroglyphs of the Hat Man, and that we're just seeing what they saw, except they carved it into stone to try and tell people, and we just post about it on YouTube? It's the same shit. It's the same shit in a different age. Bro, that's a left field theory that I'm putting a 1% on.
That's wild. I forgot all about that. Good call. So he produces all the shows. So
he knows it all.
Like, as I'm holding a conversation and just in the moment, he's sitting there in the studio producing, and he's dissecting everything that's being said. So good call.
And it's interesting. I just want to add one more thing, because so say if someone they're coming and they say, I want to know my power animal. Okay. And then so he'll journey, the person's laying on this table. He'll go in the underworld to get the animal.
Actually, the lower world.
The lower world.
The lower world.
We'll call it the lower.
Sorry, that's the lower world.
Yeah.
So he would go to get the animal. You have to go to the lower world. That's where the animals are.
That's interesting, because Cerberus is a Greek, I guess, god, 3-headed dog creature, which is the guardian of the underworld.
Yeah.
It might be a different world.
I think it's a different layer of that dimension.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's deeper layers. So
Damn, there's worlds within worlds.
when you go into each dimension, say the lower world, there's another
level.
You're in a dimension like similar to this outside world we're living in. So we can go any place in this world and see a lake or a cave or something like that. So it's similar there. You can go deeper.
Yeah, there's another world even under it, because even shamans will even have maps of worlds.
Is that right?
Because like when we would journey, I mean, he had more depth of it, but when I would go on journeys with him, it would be like I'm going to the same place over and over. Like it's like I could draw you a map of the world I see.
So you guys would go on journeys together where you would do this together, like you're in another realm together.
Yeah.
Yes. But we wouldn't
and you're there seeing each other.
But I wouldn't see him necessarily, but I can sense that he's there.
Wow.
Yeah. She'd see the same thing I saw.
Because we would have to like enter through like a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
But his hole in the ground was different place entry to get into these worlds.
Yeah.
And mine was a different place.
So how much does this look like? I mean, the way you're describing it in my brain, you're talking like underworld, lower world. And you're saying going into the ground.
Yeah, a few people saying that a lot of religions talk about different worlds. Dan says Buddhism has 9 levels of consciousness, 7 levels of density consciousness. Paris is talking about Indian, Chinese religion, 7 worlds up, 7 worlds down. Earth is in the middle. Good karma, you go up. Bad karma, you go down. Yeah, this is what I find interesting, right? Because there's a lot of the same ideas across the board, but they all get interpreted differently. And this is actually something I was thinking about the other day, right? There's so many competing theories, and people seem to like argue sort of over the semantics, right? Like, for example, we could use this idea of like different worlds as one, but recently we spoke to Nathaniel Gillis, and his theory on things is that the UFO phenomenon is actually just like a singular demonic intelligence that's like being used through like occult practitioners that have ascended beyond their physical bodies, right? That's his theory. And his idea is that this intelligence is sort of like manipulating the 3D reality that we live in. But then you've got other people sort of talking about like a breakaway civilization with a sphere network that is kind of doing the same thing. Then you've got like, Gnosticism, and that it's like the demiurge that's doing the same thing. It's like all these people are sort of caught up on the semantics of their exact theory. But if you kind of just like peel back a few layers and just simplified all of those theories, they're all kind of the same theory, that there is like an external force that is manipulating the physical. Like if they all just said that, they would all be like, oh yeah, I agree. But then they start getting technical and they start like putting names and their own labels and their own perspective on things. And then they start disagreeing with each other that like, no, I'm right. No, you're wrong. I'm right. But peel back the layers, you actually all kind of think the same thing. I don't know. It's the same thing here, right? These guys are talking about it from like a shamanistic perspective, Buddhism, all the way around the world. It's like the 10 blind men and the elephant. Jezu, celebrating 1 month as a member, says, what is up, reptilians? What is up to you, my man? Thank you for the 1 month of support. And Brett, with $5, says, I'm a flaming galah and I missed the start. Mate, go and get yourself a tap water, find a seat, and get ready for a very, probably one of the weirdest shows that we've done. But to be honest, these are my favorite ones. Thank you for being here, my man.
Is it like you're traveling through cave systems?
Similar, yeah. You can use
down more.
You can use a cave system, but the way I was trained was you needed the opening in the earth, an actual physical opening that exists here in this realm. So it could be a cave, it could be a lake, it could be a hole in the ground, and when we get into talking about the Hopi land, we'll talk about kivas and things like that.
Bro, it always comes back to the Hopi.
They do their practices in the kivas, which are under the earth, right? And I kind of thought that was interesting when I went there.
But going back to the lower world, that's where you get the power animals. The middle world is where someone even if the person didn't say anything, like I was traumatized or something, he could just see it in the vision or the journey. Oh, this person needs to be extracted.
Okay, this is where it starts to get good. To be honest, I probably could have chopped like 5 minutes out of the start of this because they're kind of just chatting shit. But now they actually start to tell the story.
The trauma. So he could go to like, say, someone's house and say, oh, this person has had this happen, traumatic event, and say if that person was a child. And he said sometimes it would only come when it was the right opportunity or right timing for that soul piece to come back, right?
Yeah. See, what happens is the things are left so we talk about time travel. So we see a lot about time travel with the government and going ships coming out of.
I heard that's a conspiracy theory. That's not real.
So we'll get into Ingo Swan and things like that too, right? But CIA stuff, and but time travel is basically what it is, and so shamans can tell you what's on the moon, right? And so you're traveling in time. In that dimension, to the place where
in the middle world
where this trauma took place, at the time and event, the place, the location. He can describe everything in the location, what's there, and he hasn't been there. But it's so connected to the dark realm because the dark realm knows everything about us. Everything we did, everything we ever did
in the past,
and there's a light realm. the realm of light also knows this, everything about us. So we have two different things happening at the same time. So when a shaman is accessing it, he's accessing it through the dark realm.
Maybe unknowingly for a
Unknowingly?
lot of them.
Right?
I'm sure there are dark shamans, but
So, okay, please continue your thought here. But what you just said here, so you're saying that you're acknowledging that there are shamans who are practicing, who are not believing they're doing anything dark or nefarious.
Right.
Right.
yeah, because
okay.
Dad,
I think it's important to
yeah.
clarify.
Yeah.
because all of us, thank you for that, because like all of us, we did not think we were doing anything dark.
No.
We thought we're ultimately God's work, ultimate deception.
So this is sort of getting into the part where, for anyone who came in late, these people were like a shamanic family that did healings for people, soul healings, or soul retrieval. And they're going to talk about that in a minute. And that's the main part that's really interesting. I probably could have cut a lot of this out, to be honest. But they also believe that they regret all of it. They believe it's demonic now. Like they are converted Christians, and that, they feel bad for the people that they did this to. And they do talk about it a little bit, but only a little bit in the clip that we're going to be looking at. And there's about 10 minutes left of this.
If someone was assaulted 25 years ago, and now they're 50 years old, so that's 25 years they've traveled in the future, right? Living their life. But that assault has still happened. So what I would do would see what happened when I journeyed for them.
Because they're stuck there.
And I'd see the soul traumatized with that event 25 years ago.
This is interesting.
So I'm actually traveling in time 25 years ago. It's in a different dimension of this world, time dimension. And I can actually go back and retrieve that 25-year-old person, a fragment of their soul that happened. Let's say they were molested, sexually assaulted, traumatized. It's stuck. What happens to the soul is it wants to free itself from the situation that's happening.
Like
disassociation.
And that's what psychology says today of disassociation. But we know that's real, but on a deeper spiritual level,
Yes.
it's actually the spirit that's a part of your soul that's broken off of your self and gone and trapped in that room.
So
And this is exactly what we hear about, like satanic ritual abuse and stuff like that. It's about causing it's like driving a stake through the conscious mind and the child's personality and their soul, and it like fractures them, disassociates them. And what they're saying is that when this happens to people, basically a part of their soul detaches itself to protect the rest of the soul. And it's like that part is stuck at that point in time, essentially. So, and that is what manifests as like childhood trauma. People who grow up, they are essentially missing parts of their soul in the past that have broken off in the past and are stuck there. I.e., you could say you're holding on to childhood trauma, or you have unresolved childhood trauma. They're explaining this in the way of that. What that is the part of your soul that broke off when that event happened to you and is still stuck in the past. And that's, when we see people who visibly have childhood trauma, that's what we see, that a part of their soul is essentially missing or damaged.
I wouldn't see them as fragments so much. I would see them as the complete soul. But let's say a mirror image of your soul, but it's a piece that should be put back into the soul.
It's like a puzzle piece. It's like missing.
But it looked like the person, you know what I mean? Like it was that person, but it's actually like a fragment, soul fragment. So I would bring that, like you said, talked about the bag. Well, I had a bag from Peru, native shaman bag.
Magical bag.
And for anyone, who is late, this guy here was a legit shaman, practicing shaman for years, and is no longer.
It's a beautiful, magical bag.
So I bring them back in that and reintegrate them.
Okay. So I'm taking my opportunity to ask questions, because it's not often I get to sit across the table from people who've had such intimate experiences and knowledge of this stuff. A soul fragment, and I've heard this before. You know, you hear about MK Ultra,
Yes.
MK Ultra learning it from
Yes.
satanic cults and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The way you're laying this stuff out, you're doing it in such a logistical way that it's actually helping me think about it and also bring some questions. So a soul fragment is a piece of a soul that's stuck in time at the time of the abuse.
Yes.
And it's basically, if you have an arm that has a disease on it, the arm got cut off so the rest of the body couldn't get sick as well. So that's the way I'm looking at it. And so the fragment is the piece that was abused, stuck there, and you were retrieving that and bringing it to the rest of the body of the soul so that it was whole.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what happens is it wants to be protected. It wants to be safe, feel safe. So it disassociates itself from the actual soul, the whole soul. And it kind of like, it thinks it's the complete soul, but it's not. It's just a fragment that's gone. And it stays there because it doesn't realize the event is over. It's just
Interesting.
sitting there
Okay.
and stays. And now, 25 years time elapsed, but that's still sitting there. It thinks 10 minutes has gone by, you know? So that's the way it works in time travel.
And
I mean, like, you know, the concepts of time travel are obviously hard to sort of wrap your head around a little bit. But to me, what he's saying, like, it does kind of track, I think, to people who do have unresolved trauma and that they're still holding on to, right? Especially when he says, you know, the fragment of the soul that's been split and, you know, through dissociated trauma as a child. He says, in this realm, that fragment of the soul doesn't realize that it's not a whole soul, doesn't realize that it's been cut off, and it doesn't realize that 25 years have passed, or, you know, whatever he said in his example, that part of the soul thinks it's been 10 minutes. And, you know, like when you see people who are still dealing with that, it's as if only 10 minutes has passed because the trauma is still there. Just like, you know, that time hasn't gone on because they haven't healed from it. You know, again, as mind-bending as time travel and that side of it is to wrap your head around, what he's saying makes a lot of sense, I think.
I can see, because the way we're talking about this and we're sharing, I can see how shamans are doing these things and they're like, I'm helping people.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like,
Sure.
because what you're just saying is what you were doing, it wasn't fake. This is stuff that you were actually like. I think so many people that aren't involved in this stuff, they think, oh, that's not even real. You know, it's imaginary, or the shaman is just a hoaxer, just collecting money or something like that, you know?
That's right.
But what you're saying is that this is actually happening. It's actually happening. It happens to people. And as a shaman, you believed you were helping people by retrieving soul fragments. And I think this is not the time for it right now in the conversation, but at some point I would like to circle back around to this, to at where you guys are today with your faith and how you view that whole situation. Because like, it's not like you're saying soul fragments don't exist now.
No.
But there is maybe, because you mentioned earlier about, I made a note here, hijacking natural gifts is what I wrote down, because like there's natural gifts that people have that the enemy sees and it hijacks and gets them to start using it in means that God never intended.
Yeah.
I think there's probably room for conversation as to the soul fragments and the damage that is truly done, and how people can actually truly express or experience healing in the right way.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to jump the gun either. So I'll let it kind of evolve from here. I don't know if I just hijacked the conversation.
No.
But
I just had something to add to that, because when you're saying that maybe people are skeptical, which I agree, I am skeptical of a lot of things. But it's hard to be skeptical when, like, they never told dad that happened to them.
Yeah.
So then he would come back and be like, he would blow the soul part back into this person. And then afterwards we'd have like a full on hour kind of debrief because we didn't want to leave this person kind of alone or, kind of processing.
Yeah.
So we'd sit down and talk and he would say, this is what I saw. This is what I did. And they'd be like, how did you know that? So, and that was 99% of the time. It was very accurate. And all the stuff that I would see too, along with it and what my mom would feel. So it was real. Like it wasn't like, so these things are real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also one thing that I wanted to just maybe emphasize too, before we go any further. This was not just YouTube, but it was also your wife, your mother. This was a family practice. This is something that the family did together. Like other families go to church together.
Yes. That was our church, really.
Yes.
And I know that we'll talk about this later, but just to kind of dovetail and wrap that kind of up, I said to Dad last night, like, I know that we did all that kind of stuff and it did help people. I know that. And I think we've repented for that, what we've done to people. So I do think that those people that we worked on, a lot of them are actually saved now. A lot of them are actually Christian, a good portion of them. But we've prayed for each person, even all the groups of people, because we've probably done it like, we've done hundreds of people, like worked on hundreds of people. I do think that those people are set free because we asked God to clear that way for them. Even if they don't know the truth yet, we pray that that they will. So we've repented for that, and I think we're forgiven for that.
Sure. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. And I think as humans, it's the hardest thing is to forgive ourselves sometimes. And you struggle with guilt. But I think it's, and I, for myself, we were talking about just some of the missteps that I feel like I've done with the show over the years. You kind of, that weighs on you. But I do believe there is a sea of forgetfulness that God utilizes on a daily basis.
Yeah. And also maybe he did that to prepare us for what we're doing now in his kingdom.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I will say this too, to piggyback on that, when I was sitting over there and we were talking, I just really felt strong that God is raising up people who walked in the dark side.
Yes.
Who've been there, and they're going to be very useful tools in the army moving forward because they know the truth. And especially here in the West, we've been so separated from the understanding that we have a supernatural existence.
Yep.
But those who walked on the dark side and now are walking with Christ can be testimonies and testify to the fact that this is very real. And I think your testimony can really truly save people way more than any kind of soul retrievals you ever did.
I think when people start, what he just said there, I think is a great point. And I think it's good for people to hear. And I hope it resonates with some people. I hope it gets people to maybe, think about things a little bit deeper. But I feel like when they then also attach like a specific religion label to the belief. Again, it's kind of like the example I gave before about like, if you strip back the layers, the further you strip back the layers, the more of like a general consensus agreement on things that there is. But then people start adding their own individual like belief and perspective to it. And they start sort of splitting, they start marginalizing everybody into like who is actually going to get on board and like take in what they say, because unfortunately a lot of people can't hear something that includes perhaps like a label or like a terminology that doesn't directly align with their own belief without sort of considering it. Once they hear that, they automatically check out and they're just like, oh, it's all bullshit. But again, strip back the layers. And I think what they're talking about here, I mean, especially that line, the fact that the Western society has become so separated from like a spiritual sort of belief system, and which is basically like our origins, right? I mean, it's only recently in the grand scheme of things that like things have become the way that they are. And you look at any sort of Aboriginal or native culture, they've all got, again, a very sort of spiritual belief about the earth and how we got here and what we're here for and what happens after. It's all very similar, retold. But again, you apply those layers of cultural lens and filters, and then all of a sudden everyone starts disagreeing with each other. But strip it back, and everyone's kind of pretty much on the same page, really. So, how about we all just stop arguing? That would be nice. All right. That went on a little bit longer than expected, but let's get to the main story of today's show. So basically, I watched a bit of this today, and it made me think of the story that we're about to watch next, which is Jamie Zhu, who's an Australian YouTuber who had his own possession experience. Now, he was like he still is a famous YouTuber, but he was doing YouTube for a long, long time, still does. So, if you go back and look at his stuff, you can look at him as a young kid, partying, going out, being crazy. And then he sort of went through like this big dip and, started looking for answers, did this Reiki healing session, got possessed. And now he's a converted Christian. So it's sort of interesting to, for someone who's got their life online like that, to watch them go through that kind of arc, basically with everything on show. Pickups, welcome, you little freak, sir. Thank you for becoming a member. And Maggie with $2 in the mood sticker. I feel you. Big mood. Big mood, and it's about to get moodier. Thank you very much, Maggie. I think we should get straight into this. Yeah. Actually, where are we starting this at?
I sit down, she does some...
Because I've got the whole thing here, but we don't want to watch the whole thing because it's quite long. I think we're starting about here. All right, here we go. This is Jamie Zhu. By the way, the links for both of these podcasts are in the description if you want to go and watch the whole thing. The last one we just watched is about 3 hours, which is why I didn't include like why they feel like it's demonic and why they regret their time doing shaman practices. But if you guys are interested in that, maybe we can check out like the second part 2 of that clip in the on the birthday stream this weekend, which the invites are going out at the end of the stream today.
And I could be whatever I wanted to be. So at this time when my mum was going through this surgery, as an only child, it was very hard for me because I was already going through all this chaos in my life, but I was also very unaware and underdeveloped in what it meant to be able to hold the fort down in the family. I'm not blaming myself for going through a hard time, but I do know better now how to implement certain things into my life for me to get through things in a better way than just be emotional, as a man especially. But back then I had no idea. So I'd be crying a lot. I'd be victimizing myself. Why me? Poor me? All these things that the New Age literally teach you. Through the grace of God, her surgery was successful. And she got out of surgery. But I just remember after this surgery, I had such a deep feeling of depression. I fell into a very big depression. And when this would happen to me, which was quite regularly during the time, my escape was partying and women. So what I did was I decided to move to Melbourne. And I moved to Melbourne back and forth because partying was my escape down there. So I moved back and I thought, you know what? I'll just clear up my emotions and have a good time and surely that will fix my problems. And so I went there and I did all that. And it didn't work. And
Wait. You're telling me partying every weekend and just having casual sex with random people every weekend doesn't fix all your problems? You're telling me it actually makes it worse? You're telling me it actually makes you feel more disconnected from everyone else around you? Whoa. Damn, that's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that.
this is the thing about what the world tells you. It's like, have a drink, man. Like, you'll feel better, have a drink, or just let loose for a while. You know, you deserve it. You need it. Just do whatever you feel like doing. Just have a break. And that's what I believed. And I did all those things, but it left me even more broken, more depressed, and more anxious on what was going to happen next.
Breaking news. More at 5.
I then was seeing this one girl in February, March 2021. And this was the first time I opened up to anyone about what I was really going through. And something that I had always gone through my whole life, amongst the depression, the anxiety, the unfulfillment, the chaos, the bipolar, was I had chronic OCD. So I would be like the biggest hypochondriac. Every time I'd get like a little itch in my throat, or every time I'd feel a pain anywhere, I would go worst case scenario and literally will that thing into existence almost. And so this OCD would just shatter my life. I would have a thought and I'd start ruminating over the thought and it'd replay in my head over and over and it would ruin my life. It would literally be this tangible voice I could hear saying, oh yeah, but what if this happens? Oh, what if that? What if this? And I kid you not, it plagued me for so many years and I could never shake it. I went to
overthinking, bro. I'm sure many of us in the chat have been victims of that, but maybe just needed to meditate. No, look, to be fair, meditation doesn't fix everything. It sounds like the right answer, but you know, it's not necessarily always the case, I don't think.
More New Age people, went to more New Age people, couldn't resolve it. And the problem with my life at this point was that I really, really believed my own thoughts. I trusted every thought that came into my brain, positive and negative, and if one of them scared the living daylights out of me, I would believe it. So I was going through all this stuff at the time, and I opened up to this one girl I was seeing. I go, hey, look, I got to be honest with you. I'm going through all this stuff. I need help. And she said, oh, I reckon I can help you. Have you ever heard of something called Reiki healing?
Oh, shit. See, this is why people say if you go home with a girl from the club and she has like one of those big tie-dye things on her wall with like crystals on her bedside table, you have to run. Okay? Because bro ended up getting possessed by a demon. So that shit's true. Okay? That shit's real. Be careful out there.
And I go, I have actually, but I've never done it, but I've wanted to do it for a long time. Do you know someone? She goes, yeah, I actually do. I know this woman. And my whole family have been going to her for years and years. And this woman's really powerful because
all the crystal wielding girls have been exposed in the chat. Yeah. We see you. We see you. Yeah.
a lot of the time when I go to see her, she lives in a house in the suburbs of Melbourne. Sometimes as she's doing the Reiki, all the car sirens in the street suddenly start going off. And I go, oh, so this woman knows what she's doing, eh? I'm like, sign me up, I'm down. And when I tell you this was the single worst decision I have ever made in my entire life, I'm not exaggerating. So a couple of weeks later, I go see this woman. And I remember entering her house. She opened the door. This kind of like 45-year-old woman. She seemed nice, Australian. And she goes, hi, welcome to the Reiki. So I walk in the door. And the first thing I remember is that this literal tangible energy hits me in the face. Like, you know how you're around someone, you feel their energy, like they give off a vibe.
Don't worry. Look, at the end of the day, we're all a sucker for a witchy girl. Let's be real.
This house, I walk into it and this energy literally hits me in the face. I can't describe it. But the energy felt nice. And so I was like, okay, cool. This must be what the Reiki is. So I sit down, she does some fortune telling on me. She looks around me. She starts trying to release emotions out of my body. And then she goes, okay, it's now time for the Reiki. And all this woman does is she lies me down in a massage bed. I'm on my back. And she puts her hand, one hand like this, two hands like this in a triangle on the back of my head for about 15 minutes. She then places one of her hands on my chest for 15 minutes. And then she waves two of her hands around this area for another 15 minutes. And I remember being in this session and I knew something very weird was happening. I couldn't describe it. I couldn't shake it. But when I was going through this session, I had all these intrusive thoughts all of a sudden just hit me. And as I said before, I believed all my thoughts. So if I would have some weird thought, just some spontaneous thing that pops into my brain, I'd believe it and I would completely focus on it and then ruin my life. And this was happening during the session.
A few people in the chat are saying this doesn't sound like Reiki. I've never done a Reiki healing. What does this sound like? Does anyone know what this actually sounds like? Because obviously something happened to this guy, especially when you listen to the rest of this story. I don't know what it is though. I think this was a demon lady. I think that is the only logical conclusion here.
And so I essentially wake up from the session 45 minutes later and she goes, okay, the Reiki's finished. We're done. How do you feel? And I go, look, I was thinking some like really dark things in that session. Do you know why? And she goes, oh, and I told her what it was. And when I tell you these were dark, I'm talking dark. I've never in my entire life had any of these thoughts ever, full stop. And I tell these thoughts, and she looks at me and she goes, oh, that's lovely. That's just the Reiki doing its thing. And this is just you being who you truly are. And I go, what are you on about? And I'm sorry, but I'm not ready to tell you guys what these thoughts are. Maybe one day, but it was dark.
I think he kind of alludes later in this that they were sexual, like sort of like dark, depraved, like just twisted, potentially illegal things. So it's funny that like he's going like, what's up with that? And she's like, it's just who you are. Like, damn, oh shit. And meanwhile, this guy believes everything that he thinks. And this lady's going, this is just who you are. I mean, no wonder he got possessed. He thinks he got possessed. Well, you know, he thinks he did. I don't know.
And I'm like, no. Like, this is not right. Like, what's going on? Oh, you know, it's just the Reiki working. You might feel a bit strange for the next few days, dehydrated. Just drink some water, you'll be sweet. I go, okay, cool. And I drive back to my apartment in Melbourne. And I just remember thinking like, am I in a dream right now? I just felt so off. I was scheduled to play tennis with my friends that day. I had to cancel because I just felt so strange. And I remember I went to this furniture store, Domain, in QV shopping center in Melbourne. And I just remember getting there. I was trying to buy pillows because I moved into my new apartment on the same day as the Reiki session. And I remember when I got to this furniture store, all of a sudden I felt this like really weird like ball.
The new scapegoat, Reiki. I like it. Anything that goes wrong in your life, blame the Reiki.
Just manifest in the middle of my chest.
Even if you've never had one.
When you've ever felt really depressed or frustrated or just down and you had this sinking feeling in like the pit of your stomach. I just got this from somewhere, but it was almost like in the shape of a ball, which I felt I had to burp out, but I couldn't. Like it was something just stuck there. But it was a horrible emotion. I can't even begin to describe how horrible it was. The next thing I noticed was like, I started to hear these voices in my head tell me things about myself that were incredibly dark. And I'm like, what is going on? I just did this Reiki session. I thought it'd help me, but it's made me 20,000 times worse. That night I went to bed. And as I'm in bed, I start feeling this tingling sensation around this area, which I've never, ever in my entire life felt, ever. It almost felt like ants crawling in my pants. Legitimately, I can't describe it any other way. But then I would be rocked by these very, very, very dark, dirty thoughts as well, which I've never in my entire life thought of either. And it was almost like someone was putting something into my head, which wasn't from me, because this just wasn't me, full stop. And it played me the whole night. I remember then having these thoughts and then these tingles, and then I would like be woken up a couple of times being stabbed by something, and then I felt like I was being suffocated by something, and then I start having like these other voices tell me to kill myself. And it was just, I just remember this night was the worst night of my life.
Someone said the Reiki woke up the demons already in him. You know, I mean, like, let's not forget, as he said at the start, this guy was like going out every weekend, taking drugs, having sex with random girls. That is going to give you like bad vibes, like bad energy. You're not going to feel tip top, you know, ready to seize the day when you're doing that shit all the time. Like, you're just not. You're going to feel like there's a void in you. So, you know, maybe it is like a weird combination of like being in this, like, you know, you're living your life in this very like negative energy. You're doing these sort of negative things, and not to mention consuming like mind altering substances, which, you know, aren't always bad, but it, you know, it's like a gun, I guess. The gun isn't bad. It's how you use it that is what makes it bad. So, you know, same thing. So, you know, with all of that swirling around in his consciousness and in his body, and then he goes and sees some crystal lady who starts weaving her hands all over him, and now the guy's having thoughts of like wanting to kill himself and all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, maybe it is a combination of the two things. But, you know, I mean, like I said, I've never done Reiki. Don't think I probably ever will. I mean, it's called Reiki healing. even if he was doing all those things and he was feeling like shit, it's still Reiki healing. This doesn't sound very healing. Okay, it kind of sounds like the opposite. Sounds like Reiki amplifier. It's just making this guy taking all of the shit that's in him and being like, here it is times 1,000. And he nearly went off the deep end.
And it was weird because then I
Which isn't funny, by the way. I know I'm kind of making this fun, but yeah, it's not funny.
heard this weird Bruno Mars song play in the background, like this creepy, you know that song, it's like, I'ma leave the door open, I'ma leave the door, that one, just playing in my head as this whole thing is happening. And I'm like, something is not right. I wake up next morning and I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, okay, I got to distract myself. So I start driving to the gym, I start trying to work. But as I'm driving, as I'm trying to do my daily tasks, I'm hit with these thoughts again. And I'm like, what is going on? These are not my thoughts. And I'm trying to get rid of the thought. I go, no, this isn't welcome here, in the sort of new agey way. Like, no, like my intention is this and you are not welcome. Go back to the place you came from. But every time I would say this to the thought, do you know what would happen? I would get stabbed by something. Like it was punishing me for not wanting the thought. I kid you not. And this lasted for so long. I was in physical pain for days and days and days, weeks and weeks and weeks, just from thoughts. I don't know how I can even describe it any clearer. Thoughts would come, I'd say, no, sorry, but like you're punished for it. It was just crazy. I then, as I said before, started getting these nighttime attacks where I'd be woken up about an hour after going to bed, being stabbed by something. And I had to call the ambulance multiple times that year. They'd bring me to hospital, they couldn't find anything. I then started to develop a compulsion out of nowhere to end my life. And even before, when I was going through all this chaos in my life, I was never suicidal, ever. I always was, optimistic. I always knew that there was hope in the future, even though I was going through these things. But I started hearing this voice saying, no, jump off the 25th floor of your balcony, go into the kitchen, stab yourself with a knife, like literal audible voices in my head telling me to kill myself.
That's like pretty horrifying. And, you do hear that in a lot of cases, not even like, not to do with Reiki, just with like general depression and, schizophrenia, things like that. Like people hearing voices telling them to do things like jump off your balcony. And like, that is actually scary. Yeah. And MK Ultra, Dylan Borland said that. And we actually kind of got into that in the podcast I recorded this week, which will be coming out soon, which is really interesting. Like the MK Ultra stuff and, manipulating people's thoughts, inserting thoughts in people's heads, making them think that they're their own. Wild stuff. There is no death. $10 says, to whoever needs this, I was possessed. My friend saw. I was stressed from work before it happened and saying awful things in a gargling voice. What calmed me was breathing slow and palms and prayer by my chest. Damn, you were saying wild shit in a gargling voice? That's crazy. That's like, that reminds me of like the Exorcist movie. When you see people going through these exorcisms, and not even just exorcisms, but like people in these states of possession or whatever, that are like speaking with like multiple voices at the same, like there's multiple tones coming out at the same time. Like that shit is wild. Yeah. A lot of people saying the drugs could be related. Absolutely.
I then would wake up every morning and I'd have this weird like presence just kind of come over me where I'd start throwing the pillow around, kicking, screaming, and I'd literally start roaring like something was inside of me, which I had no idea about. And I'd have these tantrums in the morning. Then I'd go to my phone and I'd go onto Facebook Messenger and start messaging my mum saying, ha ha ha, Mum, I'm going to kill myself today. You're going to have no son by the end of today. Ha ha, like really evil. And I knew this wasn't me.
Laughing. Yeah, you don't even need to know this guy, right? Like who does that? No, one in their right mind does that. No sane person does that. Like something has, possessed or taken over this guy. Like that's horrible to hear. Josh, did you see the guy who was made to pretend shoot the guy in the theater? He was shown the footage afterwards of him doing it and he genuinely had no idea he was there. No, I have no idea what you're even speaking about, but it sounds wild. If you've got any information or whatever, chuck some links in the Discord because I'll check it out for sure.
But for some reason, I just did it. Like, I didn't know what came over me. And then what would she do? She'd get all scared and she'd be like, she'd call some of my friends to come over to my house. And then there'd be these weird occasions where every Sunday I'd have something called a freak out, where for some weird reason on Sundays, it was the worst day, where I just lose the plot. I'd start throwing things around, trashing my own apartment and just running away and escaping and driving somewhere. And my mum would be like, are you okay? Because she'd check up on me like every hour during this time. And I wouldn't reply to her. Then she'd get all my friends to come look for me. So I was like a missing person every single Sunday. She'd often have to get cops to rock up to my door. I wouldn't be there. Like the fire brigade even came once. It was just nuts. Like, I was almost psychopathic to the point where I lost all control of myself and I would just disappear and just want it all to end. And this was happening for a long, long time. And I'm talking months and months and months of just this chaos, not knowing what's going on. And everyone around me also not knowing what was going on. I obviously was trying to help myself. So I'd go to more New Age people to try to fix myself. I'd go to these.
Bro didn't learn. He was too addicted to the witch girls. He couldn't get enough of the crystal ladies that he thought he would try and fix this by going and getting a little more Reiki. Yeah, bro didn't learn.
To see like some Maori healer once. I then went to more Reiki people. I then went to more, I went to psychologists, I went to counselors, and every single person told me that what I was experiencing was all in my head. Not one of them affirmed that it could be demonic or spiritual. No, it's all in your head.
I mean, I know I'm sort of joking about him now, but like when doctors say, oh, it's all in your head, it's kind of like, yeah, I know. Fix it. Like, what kind of explanation is that? Oh, it's all in your head. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Because all of this shit is happening in my head and I need it to stop. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off my balcony. What kind of doctor is saying, hey, it's all in your head. Deal with it.
You need to go get some meds because you've got OCD or anxiety or depression or whatever it is. I started to go on the internet and look for guns. So I'd be typing in like how to find a gun, how to get a gun license, you know?
Yeah, see? Take note, Americans. We don't... I wouldn't know how to get a gun. I'd have to know a criminal. You'd have to know criminals to get a gun in Australia, I think. I mean, I don't even know. That's it. I don't even know. Guns are not a thing here.
I would be
well, they are a thing, but like normal people don't know how to get them.
Looking up, like it's graphic, but literal spots to take my own life. I looked up the Westgate Bridge. I looked up all these places because the pain was just so hard to deal with amongst all these people saying, we don't know what's wrong with you. It's like there was no hope. I was doing sessions with this clinic called OCD LA 3 times a week, which would cost me $250 a session, with this OCD specialist who got me to do exposure therapy for all these things. I was speaking to shamans. I was going to more energy healers. I was spending time on the phone with these people. I did a Reiki course to try and balance my chakras because maybe my chakras were out of balance. I went to everyone and still no one knew what was wrong with me.
So are we in Stranger Things? Yes, that is correct. We are in Stranger Things, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people saying owning guns is normal. Yeah, not in Australia. It's not. I've seen one gun here in my life, in person. I've seen a lot overseas, but yeah, I've never even really seen many guns.
Not one person. They just said, oh, we don't know. We've never seen this before. Just accept it.
Oh, by the way, this story's like about to get wilder. Like it's because he goes through like a healing and the story's crazy. He's a Kiwi? No, I don't think he is. He's like a Chinese Australian.
And so this kind of brought me to a point where I got desperate. And I said to my mum, Mum, I'm sorry, but you don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. No one knows what to do. So if I'm not healed by December 2022, I'm 100% taking my own life. And when a mother hears that from her son, you couldn't imagine how she felt. She was scrambling, running around with this deadline I'd given her, saying, Mum, if I'm not healed by this day, there's an ultimatum. I'm taking my own life. And it was so hard for her because she was looking everywhere and she just simply could not find a solution. And it got so bad to the point where this was just constant that I actually, in May of 2021, ended up having some sort of, you could call attempts to take my own life. I was in Sydney for my mum's birthday and it just got too much. And I said, Mum, I'm going for a walk. And I sprinted down to the bottle shop
on his mum's birthday
in Chatswood, and I just got like a flask of Smirnoff. Bought it. They didn't ask me any questions why I wanted it. I ran off. I sprinted to Chatswood Oval, near where I grew up.
And a lot of people saying guns are normal in Australia. Yes, yes, you can get them, but I'm comparing it to America, where people just have like 15 guns because it's fun to do that. You can't do that here. You need to have like a license, and I don't know where the gun shop is. You know, they're not on every corner. You can't get them at Walmart and Target like you can in America. That's my point. Okay, there's a big difference to getting a gun in Australia and America.
I just started sculling this vodka. And as I'm running through the oval to this spot that I had intended on, hopefully at the time, like take my own life, I ended up writing like a suicide note on my Instagram story. And I wrote, guys, I don't know what to do. A couple of months ago, I did this Reiki healing session. And ever since then, my whole life has changed. I can't take this anymore. Someone take care of my mum. Goodbye. And I posted this note to my close friend story on Instagram. And I sprint up to this area close to these train tracks in this oval. And my intention was to just get so drunk that I would end up fleeing myself across the train tracks and taking my own life. And I just remember after I posted this story, a couple of minutes later, I'm just receiving phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call from all my friends, from people I hadn't heard from for years, and just saying, where are you? Don't do it, please. And what was ironic was the night before this, I was at karaoke with my friends. I was out partying. I was acting normal, and no one could tell if something was wrong with me, but little did they know that I was just in such deep hurt. And then I remember just being so blind drunk, having all these phone calls and I wasn't answering, to then seeing my mum call me. I'm like,
yeah, no, I don't think this is meth. This guy's a massive YouTuber. Okay, if there's like a drug addiction involved, it's probably cocaine. But you know, who knows? Who knows really? I'm pretty sure he even maybe mentioned psychedelics earlier in the thing, but that's not really something you do every weekend. Well, I mean, some people might, but I don't think, I don't think you have a thriving YouTube channel if you're like dropping 7 acid tabs every weekend. Like you just can't. Richo says, I'm super open-minded, but maybe he was smoking the crystal pistol. Also super normal to own a gun here, bruv. Yeah, so I don't think he was smoking the crystal pistol, personally. I think maybe something like cocaine, potentially. I don't actually know, though. And yeah, again, no, I disagree. I don't think it's normal to own guns here, because normal insinuates that like most people have them. You can get them here. They're legal, but you need to have a license. It's it's highly regulated. You need to prove why you need a gun, i.e. you're a farmer or something. You can't just get one because like I like them. I like a gun, so I want one. Doesn't work like that. Bleak says, I had a psychosis. This screams psychosis to me. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a whole lot of things going on here. And Stevie, my man, with $5, says, before the end of World War II, the only unarmed people were slaves and prisoners. Everyone was armed. Guns equal freedom. Also, you're going to cover RV on JRE. I was actually going to cover that in today's show, but we already had a big show. So I'll probably save that for this weekend on the birthday stream, which you are all invited to, by the way. Officially, invites are going out after this. And I want to just say as well, like, I don't know if anyone's thinking that I'm like, thinking that like Australia is better than America for our gun laws. No, not at all. I actually really hope Americans don't give up their guns. I think you guys should hold on to them, because I think if you let go of them, I don't know, bro. I feel like if Americans let go of their guns, that could be the end of it. That's it. Peter Thiel's in, Palantir, surveillance state, digital ID. you don't go anywhere unless you sign in, and you can't sign in unless we allow you to. Yeah, that's it. It's all over, bro. You guys, yes, you are the last stand. You are the last stand. I really do think that.
Oh, okay. I'll answer. And she goes, where are you? I've had all your friends call me. Please, please, please don't do anything stupid. Please, I love you so much. We're going to get through this together. Where are you? And I told her. I said, I'm here. And it was almost like I blinked, and all of a sudden, I see one of my best mates, Chris, sprinting across the oval to me. I see my mum sprinting from that direction. I look behind me. There's like two cop cars and then 3 ambulances behind me. And I see my friends, one of my friends, Danny, who's come up from Fairfield to chat. So I see this girl I was seeing at the time come from Earlwood. Like, everyone's there from all over Sydney. And I just remember like my mate Chris hugging me, and he's like, bro, I'm so glad you didn't do anything stupid. I promise you, we're going to get through this together. Please, like, I love you. Like, please, I love you. Don't do something stupid. We've got this. And
that gives me chills, man. Just picturing that, like, you know, going to find your mate like that and having that moment with him. Oh, let's get some love in the chat. We need some positive vibes here, guys. Come on. We need some good vibes in the chat. It's heavy. It's heavy stuff.
Yeah, I went to hospital. They did a mental health assessment on me that day. And in half an hour, they discharged me saying, no, he's all good. You're good to go home.
That's so ridiculous.
And it was just like, one thing after the other, just hopelessness. No one knew the cure. No one knew what was wrong with me. This was the first time we've ever seen this in our entire lives. It was just so much hopelessness. I just could not understand what to do. I remember, like, I still had this December date in my mind. And I was like, yeah, I'm still going to stick to this, Mum. I'm sorry. Like, if I'm not healed by December 2022, I'm gone. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this must be a spiritual problem. So I end up typing in how to heal spiritual problems, black magic, whatever it was. And this
bro really just said, I Googled how to heal spiritual problems, black magic. Oh, for fuck's sake. This guy doesn't learn quickly. Okay, he's a slow learner. I think we can say that. Yeah. He's not a quick learner, but this is where the story gets, like, it goes up to 11. This is where it gets wild.
First search came up, which was Indian astrologers can heal demons and black magic. And I'm like,
is there any connection with UAPs yet? What the fuck, dude? I don't care. No, bro. This is not about UFOs at all. So if you're not interested in that, you can find your way to the back and leave quietly. Thank you very much.
Okay, what's this? And so I just call the guy. I'm like, hey, I got a problem. This has been happening. Can you help me? And he goes, yeah, I can help you. And he's like, you got to send me your full name, date of birth, and a photo of yourself, and I'll do a spiritual reading on you, so I can figure out what's wrong with you. And so I basically give him all these details, and he comes back to me saying, guess what? I found something. You've got to come see me in my office straight away, because I think I found what's wrong with you. And I remember just dropping everything. I zoom into his office, and he brings me into this kind of like prayer room. And this guy is like quite a large Indian man. I think he's Hindu. And he basically says to me, I can see you've got some dark outline over your body. And I know what to do, and I can help you. And I said, phew. I was like, thank God, because this is the first person in my entire journey that even remotely alluded to being able to help me in this situation. And so
bring 5K for the prayer, says Stevie. Mate, you just wait. You think 5K, you just wait.
I'm like, okay, how do we do this? Let's just do it. Like, I'm keen. He goes, well, before we do it, it's going to cost you $1,000. So I'm like, cool. I didn't care. Go to the ATM, give him the money, and then we start the process. So this guy gets me to do a whole bunch of things. He gives me a red handkerchief with this raw rice in the middle and says, I want you to go to St. Kilda Beach tonight and do this Hindu prayer and throw this rice in the ocean. He then gave me this like weird gold pendant that I had to wear on me at all times. He made me wash myself in the shower with a massive glass jar of turmeric infused water. He made me do these prayers at night. He made me
turmeric infused water. He would have been yellow as hell. Like it's turmeric, isn't it? That's stained. That's like super stainy. I wonder what he looked like after that.
Sleep with something. It was just crazy. And the whole premise of what he wanted me to do was essentially get rid of the spiritual affliction through these Hindu modalities, while at the same time he would be praying for me from a distance and trying to send me positive energy. And this actually didn't work, because a couple of days later he calls me, he said, hey, you need to come back into my office, because for the first time in 17 years, it's not working for you. And so you could imagine, my response. I'm like, here we go again. Someone else who just doesn't know what to do with me, just feeling hopeless again. So go back into his office and he goes, I think I know what to do. I think I know.
More turmeric. Yeah. I think I've got the plan. We didn't use enough turmeric. Imagine if that's what you got. I mean, by the sounds of it, I think this guy would have been like, all right, here's another $1,000. Do the black magic. Get the turmeric and take my money.
The problem is. And I go, what's the problem? And he goes, we need to find out. And he said, I want you to wear this t-shirt for 7 days straight. I don't want you to take it off once, but I want you to wear the same t-shirt for 7 days in a row. You can only take it off when you shower, but put it
in turmeric.
Go back on. Sleeping, gym, everything. I had to wear this t-shirt. And so I went home and I found a random t-shirt just to wear for 7 days straight for this, process. And after the 7 days of like literally smelling like I hadn't showered in a week, I go back to him and he goes, okay. He goes, Jamie, we're going to start the process. But this is a very, very intense process. So he brings me into this room where in his office, he has like this room with all these Hindu gods. And I'm talking these massive statues. There's two.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would wear the same shirt all the time? That's gross. Who would do that? That's crazy. That's disgusting.
Brick on the ground. There's these Indian spices, garlic, lemon, lime. It's like a Hindu temple, you could say. And he basically cuts the t-shirt in half and keeps half for himself and gives half to me. And he goes, all I want you to do is I want you to blow on this t-shirt gently like this. And then at the same time, he said he's going to be in the corner waving around an orange scarf and doing some chanting and praying. So I'm just sitting there with my t-shirt in my hands. And right before he says go, he asked me to put a piece of my hair, a piece of my fingernail, and spit into this t-shirt.
This is like real voodoo shit. This is real voodoo shit now. But just wait. Like, look, the story's about to get crazy. And if he's telling the truth, like what has happened here is insane. And, I personally believe him because, like, I don't know. I mean, he's been on YouTube for ages and like the way he talks, it's always the same. Like it sounds crazy, but like, it's just kind of like, why would you lie about something so horrible about yourself? Put it out there on the internet when you've already got a successful YouTube career that isn't about anything like this. It's, it just doesn't really add up as to why someone would do this, but yeah, it's about to get very wild. I'll just catch up on a quick couple of chats here. Love and light to all my weirdos. Remember, you're not alone. That is from the Wrath of Can't Even, celebrating 3 months as a member. Thank you very much. Richo says it's so easy to get a firearm license in New South Wales, but you've got to get a background check. Rambro, celebrating 4 months, says, I feel for this man. Huge shout out to all the weirdos. If you are suffering from mental health, you are loved and you are not alone. My man, thank you very much for the beautiful message. And Bleak says, as soon as they ask for money, you know it's not right. Not always. I mean, people don't usually do their services for hugs and kisses. Normally, you have to pay money for things. But there are scammers out there for sure. And Rambro has gifted a membership. My man, thank you very much, brother.
And I'm like, okay, that's weird, but sure. And looking back in hindsight, this is full-on witchcraft he's getting me to do. And he's in the corner chanting all these names. He's calling on the Hindu gods. I forgot their names. He's calling on Muhammad. He's calling on Buddha. He's calling on Jesus. And he's trying to...
Bro, he's assembling the Avengers. This guy needs the Avengers assembled to fix him.
Summon something. And I'm just there thinking this guy's an absolute spinner. Like, nothing's going to happen. He then stops me. And he goes, Jamie, the process isn't working, but I need you to try one more time because you have to have full intent on getting whatever's inside of you out of you. So I'm like, all right, here we go. So I start blowing on this t-shirt again, and he's waving around his scarf, and I'm thinking, all right, let's actually do this properly. And so I'm blowing on this t-shirt, and I'm like, get these things out of me, get these things out of me, get these things out of me. And after a few minutes goes past, all of a sudden, the bottom right corner of my t-shirt, which is just a cotton t-shirt from industry, fingernail hair spit inside of it, starts to light on fire. I kid you not. And I'm like, what on earth is going on? Because I'm holding this t-shirt. I'm not doing nothing besides what I told you before. The master sees it, sees my t-shirt burning. He jumps on the t-shirt. The t-shirt starts throwing him around the room. And he
The t-shirt starts throwing him around the room.
Starts screaming in pain. All of a sudden, he turns his forearm over, and there's like a black burn on his forearm, like a cigarette mark almost.
Now, I know this kind of sounds crazy and people are probably struggling to digest it, but, you know, in the conversation I had with Nathaniel Gillis, this is the stuff he talks about with demons, like people finding sigil marks on their bodies.
And he starts screaming, and he's like, it's attacking me. He's like, get this thing in the jar. And so he's trying to put this t-shirt into a glass jar, but he keeps flinging himself back. Like, I'm literally witnessing this with my own eyes.
So, and this is what I mean. Like, this guy's saying that like he saw this happen himself. And I just, you know, maybe I'm a little bit biased because like I've seen his YouTube channel for years. So like to see him saying all of this stuff now, it's like, bro, why? There's no reason for him to be doing this. He's already had a extremely successful YouTube career, just making videos about normal things. So to come out and be talking about this to me is like, I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, I think there's a lot of crazy shit out there that we don't know about.
It was nuts. And I go outside the room because he goes, it's too dangerous in here. And then
My socks do that if I don't wash them.
Hear him screaming from the room, and then basically we go to his prayer room. His office. In his office, he's like huffing and puffing. He's like, Jamie, he's like, in 17 years, I have never in my entire life seen such a demonic spirit in anyone besides you. We have to act fast because you've got demons in you, and we have to do another exorcism in a few days' time. And you might be thinking, oh no, this sounds so scary, but if you think about my position at the time, this was the first person to ever realize what was wrong with me. And so I felt a great sense of relief. And
When did this happen? I believe maybe like 2 years ago. I reckon about 2 years ago. So if you look up Jamie Zhu, spelled ZHU, I believe, you can find his channel and see the stuff that he normally does. But then if you look sort of like, if you YouTube like Jamie Zhu Possession, in the last like 12 months, he's done a bunch of podcasts and videos just kind of like explaining, you know, telling this story essentially. Like this isn't his channel. This is him on a podcast on someone else's channel telling the story.
Just simply do whatever this man told me to do because finally I had an answer. So he goes, what we need to do is this. In a couple of days' time, we have to do a second exorcism, but it's not going to be easy. He goes, I need you to buy protective materials for this exorcism because if you don't have these materials on you, the demons will essentially kill you from the inside out. They'll burn your throat and create a black burn all the way up into your mouth. That's the way he described it. And I said, okay, well, how do I protect myself? And he goes, well, we have to actually make up 2 Hindu statues using the 5 elements of the earth: gold, silver, copper, iron, and bronze. He said, I can help you source all of these raw materials besides the gold.
Here we go.
And I'm like, wait, so you want me to get some gold to protect myself? He goes, yes. I go, how much gold do you want me to get? He goes, 200 grams. I'm like, okay. And he goes, look, this is very important because when we do this
Fetch quest. Yeah, this guy had an exclamation mark above his head, and he's now been given the task to go and retrieve 200 grams of gold and return to the quest giver.
Next exorcism, if you don't have these statues on you, the demons will literally kill you. So you need to have them as protection. I'm like, look, man, I've seen it. I've seen what I just saw. In my head, I was like, I don't care. I'll pay whatever it takes, but I'm going to do this.
So that, I mean, obviously the guy's cashed up, right? He's a very successful YouTuber. But still 17 grand is 17 grand. It's a lot of money. It's probably like 13,000 US, I would say. That's still a lot of money. But this guy's dropping it on gold because of what he saw. Like, that's what I mean. Like, whatever he saw was so convincing that he was willing to drop nearly 20 grand on a piece of gold to do a ritual with a Hindu witch doctor. Like, this shit's crazy.
Leaving. He goes, oh, before you leave, listen to this. He turns the knob of the room that we were just in doing the first exorcism. And as he opens a door, I hear this like electrical buzzing from the room, like a zzz sound come from the room I was just in with the spirit that just came out of me or whatever. And he goes, hear that? That's a spirit. But I need you to take this spirit in a jar, put it in a plastic bag, and then dispose of it somewhere in the rural suburbs of Melbourne. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? He's like, you have to take it with you. So he makes me take this spirit in a jar in a plastic bag, put it in my car.
You know what? You know what he needs to go and do? He needs to go and throw it over the backyard fence of the girl who recommended him the Reiki healing. He needs to put this shit full circle. Either go and put it in a trash can out the front, lob it over a fence, or stick it under a bed.
And so I drove an hour and a half outside Melbourne, tried to find a bin to put this spirit in, but there wasn't around any houses. And I didn't even know where I was going to go. So I found some park. There was no bins there. I found some bush. There was no bins there. So I'm like, screw this. Like, I'm just going to chuck in this person's bin. I'm sorry, but I'm out of here.
He did. Some random person has a demon that took the Avengers, the cosmic Avengers to defeat, has just been put into some unknowing person's bin. Unlucky if you're the garbage truck guy in that suburb.
And I didn't know the spiritual world at that time. I had no idea. I thought like the demon was going to kill me as I was driving. So I just disposed of it and I just gapped it. Anyway, I then got my phone and I'm like, all right, where do I get these 200 grams of gold from? But how much is it going to cost me? And so I go on Google. And do you know how much 200 grams of gold was in 20? $17,000.
My apologies. I didn't realize I spoiled that. I thought he'd already said it. There you go. Ray Clark says modern New Age shamanism is not the same as traditional cultural practice. The term shaman comes from the reindeer herding tribes of Siberia, not a room that smells like potpourri. I like it. I like it. And great point as well. Stevie says, I'd pay $1,000 to see that, to be honest. Let's keep going.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, I did see the demon come out of me and I saw the burning and I saw, yeah, I'll do it. And so I literally went to the nearest store that sold gold. I bought 200 grams worth. I just paid $17,000. Go into his office. He does a prayer of it and he goes, cool. Come back in a few days' time. I'm going to make 2 Indian statues out of this and we're going to do the exorcism. So a few days goes past and I'm thinking I could have just got scammed, but you know what? Like, in the position I was in, I'll do anything. I was desperate. I truly was. As funny as it might sound to people, I was really desperate. And I go back to this man's clinic, you could call it. And he gets me to basically wear all white. He gets me to bring some yellow and red flowers, turmeric, limes, and those really long cylinder glass jars.
Sounds like bro's making a tikka masala. This is the most expensive tikka masala ever made.
About 3 of them. He then asked me to buy, you know those Alkalife 1.5 liter bottles from Coles? He gets me to buy like 5 of them as well to his office. And I just remember like going to this guy's office and thinking to myself, man, like, I don't know, like I could die today because I saw what happened last time. I don't know what I'm in for, but just, I hope I'm protected by whoever's out there. And so I go into his office. He goes, James, that's my real name, by the way. He goes, James, this is the most important day of your life. We're going to get all these demons out and I've made the statues. And he shows me the statues. And they're just these, I don't know, just statues, they're gold color. And apparently he put the gold into the statues. So we go into his prayer room and he goes, we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a bit different. I want you to hold the jar in front of you and I want you to put a fingernail, hair and spit into this jar. I said,
Not
okay,
again. Not again.
He goes, I then want you to blow into the jar to make the vapor fall on the walls of the jar. So we did that. That was it. And then he gave me these Indian spices to eat so that, like, I don't know what it was for, but it was for the process. And he said, what I want you to do for this exorcism is you're going to have the statues in your pocket, so you're fully protected for the rest of your, for this session. And I want you to start drinking as much water as you can until you feel like you need to vomit. And once you vomit, you're going to vomit out the demons and you're going to be protected from the statues, and they're all going to be out. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I start sculling this water. And I'm 1 bottle down, 2 bottles down. I think I'm the 3rd or 4th Alkalife bottle, these massive ones. I'm like, I need to vomit. So I lean over and I vomit. And he said to me, once you vomit, you're going to hear crying and screaming noises come from the jar. Once you hear that, close the lid, give it to me, and I'll take care of it. So I vomited. I don't know what came out, probably just water. I closed the jar. I heard some sound. I'm like, okay, here you go. And do you know what happened the moment this guy touched the jar? As I give him the jar, right, transferring the jar with my hands, the moment this guy touches the jar, a flame of fire lights up inside the jar and bursts the glass lid from the bottom up. I kid you not. And I'm like, what is going on? And then the same thing happens. He's like on the floor. He's trying to he's trying to close the lid of this jar to keep it shut, but it's already broken. And he's like, he's screaming again. And he's like, help. He's like, go get the Indian statues from my office, quick. So I go run in there. I'd come back in the room. He's like, no, that's the wrong one. I'm like, okay, go back into the office, get more. He's trying to spit on this.
This reminds me of like an episode of like Looney Tunes or something like that. I can't put my finger on like exactly what I'm thinking of, but like some kind of like chaotic cartoon that's almost like comical in nature of like, you know, you've got this witch doctor trying to do this like wild shit. He's possessed by a demon trying to run and get statues, but he keeps getting the wrong ones. Like, and I'm not saying I disbelieve it, but it does sound a little bit comical. I mean, I'm open-minded. Like I don't disbelieve it because, you know, I can't prove that he's lying. And I've watched his stuff for a long time and I don't really feel like he has a reason to lie. But I agree. It sounds wild. It sounds absolutely wild. Who knows?
Into this jar, he's trying to pour water into it. He's swearing at it. It was just like it was a movie. I'm not going to lie to you. So then he goes down the room. You're too vulnerable in here. So I'm like, okay, I get out of the room. And then after he's done and he's done screaming and everything, he's like, okay, let me check your pulse. Let me look around you. He's like, you're healed. I'm like, okay, I'm healed. He goes, yeah, they're all out. I can feel your pulse. There's no black line around you anymore.
That's interesting because that's one of the big things that Nathaniel Gillis was talking about when we did the podcast is that he would feel a second pulse in these people. Some little interesting links, to be honest. I know it sounds crazy, but there are links in what he's saying and the theory that Nathaniel Gillis poses.
Well, you're healed. I'm like, okay. And he goes, we have one more thing to do. I'm like, oh, here you go, bro. How much money do you want from me? He goes, now what we have to do is we have to go and find a beach with very deep water and do a Hindu prayer and then throw both of the statues into the water, making sure it's deep water for you to be protected for the rest of your life. I'm like, okay. So we go to like St. Kilda Beach. We're walking around for an hour trying to find deep enough water. We couldn't find it. He goes, where else can we go? I go, let's go to Altona Beach. So we go to Altona Beach and he goes, yep, here we go. Here's good water. We do a prayer. And yeah, I launched the statues into the ocean. And then I was like, all right, I'm healed. And he goes, yep, cool. Thanks. Good stuff. See you later. And I remember feeling okay for a bit after that. I think I was just kind of like placeboing myself into feeling better. But a couple of hours after this session, I was like, oh no, I feel really sick. I need to vomit.
Oh no. He needs another $17,000 stack of gold, doesn't he?
But I haven't got the statues on me. What if there are still things inside of me we can get out, but I can't vomit? And I go, hey, I want to vomit. What do I do? And he goes,
vomit?
I'll have to think about it. Give me till Monday. I'm like, screw this guy. So after this whole ordeal,
bro, I'd be fuming. I'd be fuming if after all that he went, it's 4 p.m. Friday. I don't really work weekends, so I'll have a think. I'll call you on Monday.
With this Hindu spiritual healer master, I kind of was obviously still searching for answers, even though I felt even more hopeless than before. But the positive out of this experience, although this guy probably scammed me, he probably took the gold for himself, was that I now knew that this whole problem that I had been facing was demonic. And I want to make one thing very clear. I never believed in demons before. I never believed in angels or any of these weird spiritual beings. I believed in the universe, but not demons. And so once I was quite convinced that this was a demonic thing, I was like, okay, cool. And following this whole Indian experience, I ended up getting even worse nighttime attacks. So I'd basically...
Sorry, did he just say following this whole Indian experience? Is that how he refers to it?
Be woken up as I was every single night with this stabbing in my heart, with this really weird chest pain. And there was this one night, I remember I was with my housemate and I just could not sleep. I was being attacked in my heart. I was being attacked just nonstop, hour after hour. I could not sleep. I was up for 6 hours. And I asked my housemate to stay with me for that night, and they did. And this night was particularly weird because the TV was going on and off. It was flickering. All these weird things were happening. And I just remember thinking to myself, okay,
classic Indian experience. Yeah. I wonder, like, this guy's perspective on Indians must be like quite tainted now. I mean, there's no real way around that. I think this guy is probably never visiting India after this.
Instead of going on Google and searching how to cure intrusive thoughts or physical pain in my body or OCD or any of these things,
He might even get PTSD walking into a curry house.
She started searching up demonic spiritual attacks at night, how to heal them. And I remember this one video came up on YouTube, and it was this woman, and she said, hey guys, I've actually had a lot of experience in these spiritual attacks at night. I want you guys to try this thing. It will surprisingly help you all. And she goes, what I want you to do is go to your app store and type in the Bible.
Here we go. Did he ever try a doctor? Yes, he did at the very start. That was at the start. And all the doctors basically said, they said it's all in your head. And like I said, I think he already knew that part. Thank you, doctor. Here is my $100 that you no longer bulk bill, but thank you for telling me it's in my head. I already knew that. That's why I'm here.
And I'm like, here we go. Some freaking Christian trying to convert me into their religion. I already went to a Catholic school. I don't want this at all. Here we go. Here's some other preacher trying to convert me. But I'm like, you know what? Like, what do I have to lose? So I get this Bible app and I download it. And then she goes, what I want you guys to do is I want you to...
Bro, this could be the craziest ad for a Bible app you've ever heard. This could be the most long-winded ad that you've ever seen.
Play the Bible, any part of the Bible, out loud and try and sleep and see what happens. She had this like cheeky smirk on her face when she said it. I'm like, oh, you're telling me that I've been up for 6 hours and I've been stabbed. I've even had to tell my mum, I think I'm dying. I love you. Goodbye. The TV's flicking on and off. All these weird things are happening. And what? Some audio book of some random book is going to heal my sleep. So I'm like, oh, I've tried it. And so I think it was Matthew I started playing. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Put my head on the pillow. All of a sudden, it's the next day. And I wake up and I'm like, wait, what? And I run into my housemate's room. I'm like, what? I was up for 6 hours. What made me go to sleep? And she goes, Jamie, you would not believe this. The craziest thing happened. The moment the Bible started playing out loud, you fell asleep straight away. And I'm like, whoa.
I mean, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. I'm in such a conflict personally. Oh, sorry about that. I'm in a real conflict with this. I just don't know how to feel about it because, like, on one hand, you know, I really don't see any reason for this guy to lie. He seems like he's at least believing the things that he's saying when he's saying it. But then, you know, to hear like that, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's so tough. It's so tough. And, like I said to you guys at the start of that his story is that, he was a YouTuber, party animal, had this wild experience through depression, and then had this like Reiki possession and healing experience, and now he's a Christian. Okay, so I did tell you guys that at the start. So it's not necessarily an ad for Christianity, but like that's just his story, right? But I think it's so easy to like pose it like that. If you're not a Christian or whatever religion, when someone tells you their story, it can be like pretty gripping and engaging. But then when they finish it by being like, but then I turned to God and fixed my problems, it's like, paid ad. How much did they charge you for that sponsorship? But, I don't think that's the case. I think that's just his story. But, maybe I need to up my game with the PROTON ads. Maybe I need to start writing out 40-minute long, deep plot lines with characters and ex-girlfriends and witch doctors and all this shit, just to tell people that you can protect yourself against these demonic spirits if you go to proton.me/polarity and get 23% off their privacy suite. Maybe I really need to up my game. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. But I think we can probably agree that when it comes to Jamie Zhu, we need to
get this man to a hospital now.
It never works quick the first time. I need to warm that thing up before the stream starts, so it's quick and fast. Guys, I hope you had fun. I hope the stream at least got you thinking tonight. Remember, we are actually going straight to the members only stream right now. Okay, well, give me a couple of minutes, all right? Let me fill up my drink bottle. But I think we'll debrief this one a little bit more, and we will, we'll just shoot the shit. We'll see what's going on over in the member stream. So that'll be in the next 5 minutes. But also hang around for the outro, because you are going to get an invitation to Polarity's very first birthday. That's right. It's going to be happening on the outro, sorry. So thank you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope it was better than last time, Elle. I tried my best. I just finished ironing my hands actually before the stream started. So I'm glad you're here. And thank you to everyone else. Be good, be kind, and hopefully I'll see you on the members side. Take care.
Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.